Hi, welcome back to my channel. Zino here. Today I am finally making another webtoon related video because lately I basically have done nothing else but draw my webtoon. So I would just like to ramble a bit about my webtoon and maybe go over some of the mistakes I made with it and some I still continue making, even though I know there are mistakes. For the background information, my webtoon Viva la Love has been running since 2011, so about 14 years now, and I am currently only working on chapter 15 and getting close to my 100th episode. So yeah, it's just like a silly little rom-com with some more serious topics sprinkled here and there, but mostly it's just fun times, and it's a high school romance comic. And basically Viva, this redhead girl, she's the main character, or at least she was. I mean, she still is, but she used to be like the solo main character, like the only one. The whole comic was supposed to focus on her, but as the years went on, my two major side characters kind of became main characters as well, which leads me into my first mistake, which is probably the most common one with new and old creators alike, and that is making your webtoon too long or too complicated. As I currently have 3 main characters, these guys, I'm drawing like a promo material in the background, and usually one chapter kind of focuses more heavily on just one of them. That basically means I will have to draw about 15 episodes, since one chapter is divided into 5 episodes, just to get focus on all of my main characters. So to get some character related plot points moving without being too hasty about it, will take some time. So yeah, if I was a newbie creator, I would definitely like to have a slightly smaller scope and focus on only one main character, which I guess I did, but then I just kind of moved away from that road. And for me right now, it's too late to change things back to Viva being the solo MC, because I love all 3 of my main characters. Viva, she started as a tomboy, but she kind of evolved into, I don't know, a lovable idiot. Yeah, she's less of a tomboy and more of an idiot right now. And my other main characters, the second one is her twin brother Milo, and he was supposed to be the lovable idiot, but he kind of turned out to be like a tsundere, I guess. He gets pissed off a lot. And my third main character is their best friend since childhood, Joachim, who's my baby. I love him a lot, which means he suffers the most in the webtoon. But yeah, that's my main trio: twins and the best friend. And besides the main trio, I have about 5 major side characters. And all of these characters kind of lead me into my second mistake. So back in the early 2010s, when I started to work on this comic idea a bit more, I didn't think about the character design too much. Viva was always like this, I guess. I created her back in my high school days, back in like 2008, 2009, during a very boring philosophy class, and I was very into the Spanish national football team back then. So that's why her name is Viva, because I kind of wrote like, what is it, Viva España next to her. And that's why her colors are like mostly red and yellow. And aside from her love interest in the comic, which was the second character I created before I knew I wanted to make a comic about both of them, the other characters were basically all created after I knew I wanted to draw a comic. But like instead of carefully designing all the other characters, I kind of just slapped some designs over them and call it a day. Of course, I did change like things here and there, but like there wasn't really that much like thought put into the designs. And by that I mean not all of their designs match like their personalities. Like even after like 14 years, I still haven't figured out like what sort of clothes should Milo should wear. And I guess I just refuse to sit down and browse Google or Pinterest for clothes for like a teenage tsundere boy. So yeah, the lack of really thinking about my designs also isn't helped by my third mistake, which was coming up with the character backstories years after starting the comic and like finalizing the designs. I know like this sounds crazy. Did I even have any idea in my head when I started to draw this back in 2011? I don't think so. I mean, I had an idea because back then I was reading a lot of shoujo manga, and usually shoujo manga, the main characters are more or less like a pretty like the girly girls. At least the shoujo mangas I read had those kind of MCs. So I had this idea that what if the main character was like a total tomboy, clueless like about love and flirting and that sort of stuff, but like try to get herself a boyfriend anyway. So the plan was to use all those like cliched shoujo scenarios and kind of like make fun of them, like writing love letters and such. But this time the MC would just like fail. So that was the premise of my comic. But it since moved away a bit from it, mostly because I haven't really read shoujo manga in years anymore. So I don't remember all the cliches anymore. And this had led me to think what else I could be doing with this comic without like straying too far away from the original premise. And I just figured out, since I love these characters so much, let's just like make them go through stuff. So after that, I actually had to like figure out like, do these people have like goals, interests, dislikes, like what has affected their personalities so far, and just things I just hadn't thought about until like years after. Because I had this like simple plot and I was like, these characters are just gonna move this plot forward and like nothing else is needed from them. So yeah, I basically came up with a lot of backstories for my characters only like a few years after. Like after the design had already been like solidified, and this has led to some issues. Like for example, one of my side characters, Romero, the dude here on the screen. He hates being tall because of reasons. And well, I mean, looking at his design, which was made years before I like figured out his backstory. I mean, if you look at his hair, he has these pointy, almost like antennas sticking up, which doesn't make any sense, and not just like hair physics sense, but like they add to his height. So if he hates being tall, why would he choose to have a hairstyle that makes him look even taller? That's what I mean, that my designs can clash against the personalities, because I didn't spend any time at all thinking about this back then when I started the comic. I guess I just was like, I want to draw and I want to get some comments, you know. No thoughts in my head back then. So don't be like me. Figure it out the important stuff before just like starting to publish your comic. Okay, enough about the characters. The fourth mistake I made, I mean, well, it's not really a mistake, but I started the comic in like print format, page format, what do you call it? Because I wanted to print it for myself, like I have a book, a comic book about my comic. And back in like 2011, nobody was talking about like webtoons or like a scrolling format. So, you know, the traditional page style was way to go anyway. And then I started to publish this on Tapas and Webtoon in 2019. This was originally published in Smack Chiefs. Rip that site. I'm so sorry it's gone. So yeah, I had about 9 chapters when I like discovered Tapas and Webtoon, and because it had been like 8 years since I started the comic, the first pages were kind of terrible. So I was redrawing my first 9 chapters, but I was still redrawing them to be in like traditional comic pages, even though I knew scrolling format was basically the way to go now. But I was like stubborn. I still wanted to get it printed for myself. So I redrew the first 9 chapters in the comic style, and then I did format my pages into like Webtoon scrolling style for Webtoon, but for Tapas I kept the page style. Anyway, because of this, the first 9 chapters on Webtoon, they don't look that good. I mean, even if it's a redraw, I just like cut my panels out of the pages and just kind of rearrange them to fit the scrolling format. And back then I was like really new to the whole scrolling thing, so I didn't know how much space there should be, and like the formatting was a bit hard because I was so used to a traditional page style. So yeah, the first 9 chapters on Webtoon, at least, they still don't look that good. And I have the urge to redraw them, but I'm not crazy enough to do it again after only just like 6 years. But yeah, if I did go back in time to 2019, I would tell myself, don't bother with the print style, just go for the scrolling format from get to go. So my 5th mistake also has something to do with style, or rather the multiple styles this comic has gone through. And I am not only talking about my art evolving. I started with like full colors, then I got lazy, even though back then I was only making like 1 page per week compared to the Webtoons schedule, which is when I'm in the zone, I make like 5 to 6 pages per week. Anyway, I changed it from full colors to limited palette, and then I went back to the full colors again. So style is kind of inconsistent. Starting from the 10th chapter, at least I switched to fully like scrolling style, and I abandoned that page style. And from that moment, the art style has been consistent because I actually like practice and experimented a lot before making the switch, instead of just like going for whatever felt good at that second and then like regretting it later. So yeah, definitely test out a lot of styles before you start your comic to see what is easy to make, and so you won't have like 3 different styles and colors all over the comic like I do, which just keeps increasing my urge to redraw the whole thing. Sixth mistake is something I have kept doing since 2011, and that is keeping my dialogue as an afterthought. Unlike some other webtoon artists, I don't write a script for my comic. So I have an idea for the episode or for the chapter, and I just start drawing my episodes and write the dialogue as I go. And this probably leads into some very stupid half-assed sounding dialogue. Further, as you can probably tell, I am not even native like English speaker, and I don't have a beta reader, so some dialogues probably sounds unnatural too. But as a reader, I find myself going through the panels, the text like super fast whenever I'm like reading webtoons, and kind of like the words barely like register into my mind, and I don't really stop and think, that sounded kind of dumb. Does anyone speak like that? Unless it's like very obvious. So like, in my defense, I don't think that many people, I hope, care about it that much. But yeah, definitely compared to my like fanfics, the text part of my comic gets very little editing. I do wish I would pay more attention to it, but like lettering, the writing dialogue is just something I don't really enjoy doing that much. Maybe if I did write the script, I would enjoy it more, but whenever I'm like sketching the episode, I'm just like half-assing the dialogue just to get the things going and just focus on the art more. The 7th mistake is a bit similar to figuring out my dialogue as I go, because the whole webtoon is like that. I have like written down some notes of some scenes I want to draw, but they're like very messily organized at the moment, and I don't like have any like timeline for the plot. And it basically means I am just going with whatever idea I get while keeping the big picture in my mind. Like I said, this is a rom-com, so I don't have such like deep plot lines I need to like keep track of. I mostly have like I have the ships. I enjoy a lot of making like a lot of ship cheese into comic, so I kind of like I know which pairs will like end up together at the end. So that is the big picture I am talking about. So, but yeah, to get there, how do I get there that the person like A and B will get together? I don't really have any idea. I have some ideas, but they're not like organized ideas. And I get new ideas and I'm like, yeah, that could work. Let's just draw that idea for this episode. So yeah, I'm just going whatever idea I get. And I definitely feel like I could do some more planning for this. But like after all the drawing I have to do, it feels like I never have time to actually like sit down and think about what I want to and what I should be doing next. And also, again, in my defense, my chapters are kind of like episodic. So like each chapter is in like own thing. And of course there are like things that carry over to the future chapters, and the characters reference something that happened before, so it's not like they're completely like separate from each other. But it makes it so that like I'm alright as long as I just plan it by like chapter by chapter. And like I said before, a chapter means like 5 episodes for me. Think about it like as a sitcom. Like each episode, it's basically its own thing, but there is like a bigger continuous plot going on in the background. But yeah, that's the case for me. So that's why it's easier for me to just have one idea, make an episode out of it, and then maybe have completely different idea for the next episode. I said I haven't really had time to plan out my timeline properly, and same can be said about getting better at making comics or webtoons, or just basically getting better at doing art, which is like my 8th mistake. I started to draw this back in 2011 because I wanted to get better at drawing, and I thought, well, since I have to draw a lot of stuff for like a single comic page, it will happen naturally. And of course, compare it to the early pages. Do I dare to show them? Maybe I'll just flash them on the screen really quickly. I have improved, but I still should have taken time to actually like properly learn things like anatomy and perspective. That is why I currently have to use 3D models for like difficult poses and backgrounds, because I haven't had time or motivation really to learn how to draw them. And I think if you rely too heavily on 3D models, it's pretty easy to tell because the characters look like way too stiff. So that's what I am hoping to change in the future, and actually skip using 3D models for the characters like all together. As for the backgrounds, I definitely stick with them though. Like drawing backgrounds by just like hand, it just takes too much time. And time that I don't have because I actually do work like full time. So it's not like I have too many hours per day to be working on this, and I don't want to keep drawing at the same classroom for like each panel. So yeah, I definitely will stick to the 3D models for backgrounds, but I would want to focus more on learning anatomy, because it's not really happening that fast if I'm just drawing the comic. So yeah, how many was that? Yeah, 8 mistakes. So definitely also study art aside from like drawing your comic. I think it will help. And the last 2 mistakes are less about actually drawing or planning the webtoon, but more about marketing. So my 9th mistake is that my updates schedule has been very irregular. Like even back in 2011, when I only drew like 1 page per week, it took me a year to finish my first chapter. And it was like less than 30 pages long. So yeah, I was basically drawing 1 page per every like 2 weeks, which was like way too little. And I just like completed the first chapter like maybe a day before I had like a comic anniversary. Also, I have taken multiple very long breaks. I think the longest one was like a year and a half. It was just, I kind of lost motivation, not only like drawing my comic, but I just didn't read webtoons for like a year and a half. I didn't even open the app, so that can happen. And like sometimes I get very into making my webtoon, like right now, and then I cause myself a burnout later. And after the burnout, I'm taking even longer break. And like I mentioned before, I work full-time now, so there are times when there's just a lot of like work-related stress and I am just too exhausted to work on my webtoon after work, or new video game releases and I just get like hyper fixated on it. Anyway, since it's a free webtoon, I don't get paid, so I don't feel too bad when I'm not updating like weekly or something. But this has definitely caused a lot of the readers like disappearing, just losing interest in the webtoons as well, not just in my comic. So in that sense, I do feel like it was a mistake to disappear too often, because you do be losing a lot of readers, and if you don't get marketed, it's kind of hard to gain new ones back. So my last mistake, I don't market my comic like at all. I don't use social media. I mean, I have tried making a Twitter for it or like an art Instagram. I even have a TikTok. It's still up, but I don't remember my password, so I can't log in. But yeah, I'm basically a boomer when it comes to that stuff. And it's really hard to make TikToks when I was making them, because I don't actually like use the app. I don't doom scroll for hours on TikTok. I was just like updating my TikTok account, but I was not browsing the app. So I kind of like I don't know any like the memes and like what sort of videos I should make, because I would have to also keep like watching TikTok to get ideas. Anyway, I didn't like making the short videos. Took too much time, and I don't have the brains for the 2020 memes. Like my memes are from like 2010s, early 2000 memes. But yeah, the webtoon side itself filled with like comics, so my webtoon kinda exists in a void. And I guess that's also part of the why I started this YouTube channel. Like I don't expect to get any actual views for my comic this way, since like my channel, I don't think there's like any viewers on my channel. But like at least I do find more joy of making like longer videos than those TikToks or Reels or YouTube shorts or whatever. But yeah, if you already have an online presence, marketing your webtoon will definitely be easier. And since webtoon won't really do it for you, you kind of have to do it for yourself. And kind of like before, because all my time goes to actually making the comics, so the marketing has been very, very much an afterthought and something I do if I have energy and if I have an idea how to do it. Anyway, these were the 10 mistakes I think I have made with my webtoon. I guess now that I think about it, if I had planned all this like more carefully back then, maybe I would have less issues. But like, it is what it is, you know. And even if it's not perfect, I still love my webtoon. I loved his characters, and I want to keep like making it until I'm too old and my hands are too shaky. And you know, even if there's even just one reader who still enjoys it, you know, then I'm happy. This comic is meant for entertainment and to be like a fun read. So I hope you can maybe learn something from these. Mostly just please plan. Please plan before starting your comic. But yeah, thanks for watching until the end, and check out my webtoon if you want. The link should be in the description. Until next time, bye bye. Moi moi.